You are listening to Love Your Practice with Dr. Laura Mock. I'm a general dentist, a practice owner, and a certified life coach. I teach women who own dental practices to lead with intention and literally fall in love with their businesses. Keep listening and you will see how learning to love your practice turns into loving your life too. Hi ladies, Dr. Laura Mock here again. Today we are doing another interview with one of my former clients. I have really been enjoying this practice. I get to catch up with somebody who I consider a friend, and plus, usually somebody says I did a good job. Okay, yes, I'm making fun of myself now, but honestly, don't we all enjoy a compliment every now and then? And anyway, this coming interview that you're about to hear is so near and dear to my heart because it is on a topic that we don't talk about enough, which is how often many of us feel shame and how impactful that shame can be in our life. Also, how much better things are when we can find it, see it, put it in its place, and then experience that unpleasant emotion and the fallout from the emotion less through coaching. So I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Kaitlin Haag. She practices in rural Nebraska. She thought she was going to be in a group practice, and it ended up it's just her, and she has been doing just fine for many years now. But she's going to tell her story about how coaching really helped her to be able to enjoy what she's built. And so listen into this episode, and I will see you on the other side. All right, so I would like to welcome to the podcast Dr. Kaitlin Haag. Dr. Kaitlin, so nice to have you, and it's nice to see your face again. It's been a little bit.
Yes, you too. Thank you for inviting me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so you're in Nebraska, so you're in the middle of harvest season out there.
Yes, it is corn and milo and
Mm-hmm.
drilling wheat. It's all the
Yeah.
things right now. Yeah.
We also have beans here. Do you have soybeans where you are?
There are some beans. We don't personally raise them, but yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah, so the beans, when the combine goes through the beans, it like everybody comes in all stuffed up
Yeah.
and with maxillary molar toothaches.
Yep. Yeah.
Every year we get at least one of those where I'm like, actually, you just have allergies because
Yeah.
we live in a
I get those too.
yeah. Yeah. So I asked you to come on to the podcast here. I've been interviewing former and current clients who I have seen have a dramatic change from coaching, and especially women like you who have an amazing story of how they became a dentist in the first place. And all of you that I've had on here, I think are just such impressive people. So I was wondering for our guests, if you would take a couple of minutes to kind of get us up to speed on how you got where you are right now. So you're an owner, you're a dentist, you have this very successful practice. I want to hear, not, don't start in second grade or anything, but I want to hear how you got where you are right now first.
Sure. So in high school, kind of had an interest in medical, kind of looked at dental. Our state has a program called RHOP that kind of encourages students in rural areas. It's called Rural Health Opportunities Program, and it's a program that enlists people, try to get people back into the rural areas. And I wanted to stay in my hometown. That's where I practice now.
Mhm.
So did that, went to a state college, and with that program, you get acceptance into the dental program, but they have optometry and things like that, and medical also, as long as you meet the program criteria. So,
So, excuse me, was that like a pre-acceptance kind of thing where they're like,
essentially,
you're in
yeah.
unless you screw up?
Right, yeah, you have to keep a certain grade point average. You have to get a minimum on the DAT.
Mhm.
You have to do some meetings quarterly to like reports, things like that.
Did you have to promise to practice rurally to be in that?
It was encouraged. I was the only one in my program that did go back to rural. Other people in other places. So no, I mean, it's encouraged, but you didn't like sign something that you had to.
How
So
many
I did
people live in your small town?
about 7,000.
Yeah, okay, okay, carry on. Thank you.
Yes, so did 3 years at state school and then went to dental school, reached out to a couple of local dentists in my town my senior year. Thought I'd be associating right out of school, but ended up buying in 50% straight out of school, which was it was a lot. It was a lot because you know nothing out of school.
I'm sure that felt like a really big loan too.
It did, but I also was, I don't know. I did it. I don't know. And thankfully, you know, had help doing it. I also got married the same month that I graduated, so that was a lot also. But anyway, so did that. Worked with him for a while, and we had an associate for a little. The plan kind of changed. He retired about 5 years after I graduated. The associate left, and then I'm here with this big practice, 100% owner. And again, it was a steep learning curve, but I guess when you get thrown into things, you learn it. So that's kind of my dental journey of how I got here.
It sounds like you were expecting to get some like long-term mentoring where you were
Yes.
alongside somebody, and then it was just you in the middle of Nebraska on your own.
Yeah, yes, yep. That is how it went down. And you know, life is full of, you have, you know, plans and expectations, and things change and you're thrown into it, and it's sink or swim, and it's a lot. And I think as dentists, I mean, you feel like you're an island anyways, but then when you're just trying to get your clinical feet underneath you and your business things, and then you get thrown into it. Thankfully I had a really great team. I had an office manager that really helped me. And I like the business side, which is weird for a dentist. So it worked out.
Yeah, and since then you've learned how to do all these cool things. Pediatric airway is one of them, right?
Yeah, yep. I am currently learning that, and that's been nice because it's been a change. Because sometimes the, you know, bread and butter stuff can get monotonous and hard, and you just learning something new is helpful.
Yeah, and I'm always happy for the people who learn the airway stuff because it's not, you're not hunching down and trying to get somebody wrangled into position, you know?
Yeah,
Especially with kids, you're really making an impact on their entire life and they don't even know it because later they're gonna breathe and not choke in their sleep because you helped them.
yeah. And that, yes, that is, you feel like you're actually like making a difference. I mean, and people can see it. Like nobody ever is like, that was a super awesome DO that you did today.
Yeah, thank you. Let me
I
help
really
you.
appreciate it.
You didn't leave any flash. You
Yeah.
closed my contact so well. Let's hug this out.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no high fives are ever given for that.
No, I haven't had
Unfortunately.
any high fives from any MOs or DOs either, or
Yeah,
crown for that matter. Oh,
that's true.
for my crown.
Maybe
Wow.
anteriors.
Yeah, okay, all right. If I'm doing something pretty, then I might get up.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So you bought the practice and then you were the sole owner and practitioner, and then you sailed off into the sunset?
No. Yeah, no.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
not the end
yeah.
of the story?
No, it's not. No, no. I found myself just like really struggling, you know, just with a lot of doubts about, I guess, myself and my abilities. You know, thinking like everybody else is, you know, doing better, you know, like if I'd have, you know, like maybe a filling fell out or a crown didn't fit perfectly and I either had to remake it or, you know, whatever. It's just like those thoughts of, this is not happening to anybody else, like you super suck. And everybody else is just killing it. And just those thoughts of, I don't know, just thoughts of like hopelessness, like I am not, these people deserve the best in this, you are not it, they should go somewhere else. And I struggle with that, and it would keep me awake a lot, and to where I would really dread sometimes going into work, just feeling like I was failing people, even though I was doing my best. And even though I was doing a good job, but that's not how I felt.
Yeah. So how did it affect you to have all of those thoughts running through your mind all the time, basically judging you? You know, you have this like mini me, judgy, mean self on living on your shoulder, whispering mean things about you. How did that affect your life?
I mean, it made me, like I said, like not happy to go into work. Being really just like unhappy and just feeling like, oh my gosh, I should get out of this, and make me grumpy at night, because I felt like all day I'd just be like negative self-talking myself, and then I get home and I just have no more energy for, the tiny people at home that wanted their mom. And just like, they talk about the Sunday scaries or something, Sundays, and I'm not like, I still get that way occasionally, of just like dreading going into work and not being able to sleep.
So it made it harder to be the mom you wanted to be when you got home.
Yes.
It made it the weekends hard because you spent half the weekend worrying about going back to work. Did it affect like your treatment planning and your income?
Oh, for sure. I mean, because I definitely was more, I would say like conservative, maybe to a point of being like, maybe a tooth needed a crown to protect it. And instead I'd be like, well, no, like we can like maybe patch it for like the 100th time. And like, then maybe next time we'll do a crown, when really like the best thing for the patient would have been the crown to begin with. Or, that I think was my biggest one, was that just feeling like the inadequacy of just doing a treatment plan that maybe because I was feeling not as confident, I didn't feel as confident telling the patient what the best thing for them would be long term. And I'd be like, I don't know, just be afraid of that, their reaction to what I was going to say. I was already assuming what they were going to feel or what they were going to say, and I didn't want that rejection. And so I would try to minimize what I was presenting so that I didn't feel that rejection, because I was already feeling so bad about myself.
Yeah. So not only did it make it hard for you to just enjoy your life, because when you were at home, you were worried about the work stuff. It impacted your career and your ability to give your patients the care they were expecting, because you were sorry or embarrassed about what you had to offer. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just want to pause you here and just say to the listeners that I hear a story like this very frequently. It's so amazing what our human brain is capable of. And sometimes it does these maladaptive things that like harnesses what's supposed to be a safety measure to keep you safe and protected, and like accidentally takes you for it. It's like that in did you watch Inside Out 2 with the anxiety lady?
Yes.
Kid who's running around trying to preemptively fix every problem until poor little Riley can't even enjoy her hockey game anymore, and our brains will do that. And I just want to say that you are so not alone, and I'm sure that there are people listening to this right now who appreciate that you're willing to tell your story about it. So what did you try before you ended up reaching out to me and follow up? What made you decide to try coaching?
I mean, I had done a little bit of coaching and, some counseling and just also just, the kind of positive self-talk and, in certain ways they helped, but like none of it was like dental specific
Mhm.
or, on this specific, like clinical, you know, what I'm gonna say, um, you know, doubting that I was having of myself. And so I reached out, I believe, initially to another person within the dental world, and they referred me to you, saying, that you had thought processes and things that could help um, in the daily day-to-day of how to, fix those mind, um, you know, just kind of works that you have that because you get stuck in just thinking the same thing over and over again.
You
And it's so
absolutely
hard to
do.
get out of it.
Mhm.
And I didn't know how. Like I was just kept saying the same horrible things to myself every day. And I was tired of it.
Yeah. And if I recall, it was kind of getting in the way of some of your goals
Yes.
because you wanted to do some things with your relationship with insurance.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I wanted to get out of a few insurances that just were not, um, not reimbursing well, but also not covering anything for the patients. And I just felt like there's no way I can get out of this insurance. I'm not good enough. I'm not an of network dentist because I don't do all these specialty things. There's no way. And you really helped me see that like it, that's not true. Like it's not. That was
It,
something I was telling myself. It wasn't reality.
yes, it was a thought habit.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we have those habits, we start to take them at face value as if they are facts.
Yeah.
And we just assume that it's correct because we've thought it so many times. But
Mhm.
in reality, you are actually very well situated to drop those contracts. Number one, because of who you are, and number two, because of your position in a rural community, where what you have is very unique. People need you, right?
Mhm.
So it was a pleasure to help you see the thought habits and help you question them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it was hard. You really have to like think at what you've been thinking. Think about what you think about,
Yeah. Mhm.
and then kind of dissect of like why do I have those feelings? Like I remember you trying to tell me to find joy in doing a filling, and I tried, and it was like, oh, that felt gross.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And actually like a month or two ago, I actually had like a really nice filling appointment. I was, talking to the patient, joking, everything went fine. And I actually did get a fist bump after that appointment because he said
Oh,
it was fun. Yeah,
that's almost as good as a
it
hug.
really was. Although I made it awkward because he, I'm not hip, and he put out his, and I was like, I don't,
Oh, are we
fist bump. Yeah.
shaking?
I was like, I'm a dentist, I'm awkward. That's fine.
That's amazing. Yeah, I do remember that. So, what were some of the things that you discovered you had been telling yourself? We found one, which was that you weren't special enough to go out of network. What other things were you telling yourself that were total BS and now you can see them?
um, that I wasn't a good dentist and my patients deserved better. They should go somewhere else, or that all the other dentists are doing better than me or are better than me. Um, yeah. But even like, getting, even since then, I even found myself, like I tell myself, like, I don't have time for things. I do have time for things. I just gotta make priorities.
Mhm.
But definitely the biggest, you know, or even with patients, like I said, like telling myself like, oh, they won't accept this treatment. Like they, you know, won't accept it. And I'd backpedal on things and be like, oh, you need a crown. And then if I felt like they made a little face, to be like, oh, but we can try, you know, try a big filling. So it wasn't even just telling myself things about myself. I was assuming what the patients were thinking also.
Yes, so, all of us do that where we think a thought and then we pretend that someone around us is thinking it
Yeah.
instead of us actually taking responsibility for the fact that we made that little play up in our mind.
Yeah. Yes.
One really common one that a lot of women dentists do is we want to say it's a good idea to do this treatment on this tooth, but we're thinking in our minds, oh, this person is picturing that I'm greedy
Yeah.
or that I'm selfish and I'm recommending this care because I want their money or I'm pushy or whatever. And it's not that we've ever gotten evidence that that person thinks we're greedy. It's
Yeah.
just that's what we're most afraid of. And so we kind of like play it out in our minds and pretend it's true.
Yes.
Mhm. So, how did your life change once you started being aware of some of these thought habits that were making you feel bad?
Um, well, number one, acknowledging it and knowing that, you know, feelings aren't, you know, facts, and what I was telling myself wasn't necessarily true was helpful to recognize it and to identify the feeling. You know, like at first I didn't even recognize that it was really shame that I was feeling. Um, and then trying, you know, decide figuring out what caused them and when, and then trying to come up with either, you know, the reality, or I know like you really helped me with the verbiage of how I would feel comfortable presenting treatment, because I agree, I felt like I was, you know, was going to come off greedy or pushy when I just wanted to present the treatment options and let the patient decide. And you really helped me with the verbiage so that I felt comfortable that in the end these are what I recommend, and you know, if you want to go forward with those, I'd be, you know, happy to do that. And it didn't feel, the words that you gave me and help me feel comfortable presenting treatment. And that was really helpful. That helped my confidence. It helped my practice,
Mhm.
you know, and my bottom line. And it also helped my patients. They're getting the things and they feel empowered that at the end it's their choice. Because that is what we're here for. They come to us for our professional opinion. And it's our job to give them our opinion and all the options.
Mhm.
Um, and also I feel a lot better going into work now. Not to say that, you know, I'm still human. I still have days that I, you know, get down, but I would say it's definitely not as much, and I can recognize when it happens and when I get back into those thought patterns and try to do things to stop it.
The thought patterns around the feeling of shame, which, by the way, thank you very much for being vulnerable and sharing that with us. The thought patterns around that emotion can be very persistent, but we can continue to have those thought patterns even after we recognize that we're doing it and that it's not facts. And yet we still, the thought still pops into our mind, right?
Yeah.
But how is that different now for you when you start to notice that you're experiencing shame? Um, what do you do next? How is your life better um, now that you've gone through the program?
I would say it's better because I, instead of spiraling, recognize it and do what I need to do to get out of it, whether that be, you know, take a minute to get things together, or talk, you know, talk to myself, lots of the different things that we worked on, um, so that I can be, you know, the dentist I need and want to be. And I have now, when I go home, I have more energy to play with my kids and see them, because I'm not so down all day
Mhm.
that I go home and I just need to go, you know, be by myself to try to recover from the hard day. So that's that's been really great.
It's very satisfying to hear that it's been easy for you to do your mothering and your resting stuff, because even if it didn't change your bottom line, the time and the dollars that you put into coaching, being able to have that impact of raising your babies the way you meant to is so worth it. But then to know that it also ended up paying for itself by helping you recommend ideal care for your patients is just like, I'm just like, my work here is done.
Yes. Yes. And we're working, like I said, getting out of some of those insurances. So that's exciting, and my team's excited.
That will continue to affect your bottom line for the rest of your life. And you will be able for the rest of your life to just recognize when you are feeling shame, or you're picturing somebody thinking that you're greedy, and go, oh yeah, this is my old thought pattern. And I recognize why it's here. I understand, but also I'm moving on from this.
Yeah. And that's been helpful, because there's been a few times that it comes up and I'm like, I see what it is. And I'm like, I don't, I know this isn't real. I don't want to feel this. And I've been able to just like move on, which has been really great, because it just doesn't ruin my whole day that much anymore.
Well, I'll give you a hint that coming up, you're going to have teenagers, so then you can get your bag of tricks back out.
Yeah. I have a 9-year-old teenager right now.
So. Oh yeah, is it a girl?
It is.
So
yeah, I am using it, and
yeah. They are really good at making you feel bad about yourself.
Oh my God, like sometimes I'm like I hope you use your powers for good, because you are crafty at these things. So yeah.
So you will continue to use those skills for the next several years but you do get to the other side eventually. My youngest is now 20, and I still coach myself most days about something.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Are there any words of advice? You've been very succinct, so we're coming to the close here, which I mean, we all appreciate a person who can say things so quickly. Is there any words of advice that you want to give to the listeners? It's all women who own their practices and wanting to improve things and feel better and really love their practices. Do you have any words of advice for them?
I would just say, like, if you're struggling out there, like, you're not alone. Reach out. There's definitely reach out to Laura. She was very helpful for me, and she was a very safe space, and open and so kind. And I just felt comfortable being more vulnerable with her. So I feel like she's a very safe person, that if you feel uncomfortable opening up, that you can do that with her. But even if it's not her, I mean, there are all sorts of people, and that would be willing to talk with you and help you. It's not good to just suffer in silence, because then we're just in our own heads, and it's so hard to get out of it without help.
It really is. Once you're in that, it feels like you're swimming in facts, even though it's really colored by, our brains. And it's so true that they're not alone.
Yeah.
Most of us have these feelings.
Yeah. And I think it's, nice. I feel like, as women dentists, we have a little bit, we bring all the things from motherhood and being women with us too, of wanting to be all the things to all the people. And that can be hard, and just, and trying to be, I don't know, whatever we think society wanted us to be, when who we are is good.
Yes.
We need to recognize that.
Yes. You don't have to be everything to everyone. The way you are, just be the best of you. And we don't have to fix it all at once.
Yeah, for sure.
Good. Well, I appreciate your kind words about my coaching. And it's true, I try to make these sessions as safe as possible. So if there is anyone listening who really wants to see what it's like to coach, if you're feeling like now is a good time for you, if you're tired of feeling either tired or ashamed or exhausted, whatever, we can have a chat. I don't charge anything to meet somebody, and it's not pushy. So you can find information about that on my website, loveyourpractice.net, or on my Instagram page, which is Dr. Laura Mock DDS. And I will put those in the show notes.
Okay.
Well, I just really want to thank you for spending the time and also the energy, because it is vulnerable to talk about how you're feeling and to say, hey, I did feel shame. It's so useful because there are many, many women who are feeling shame, and many of them don't even realize it. So you sharing that story, I am positive, will impact other women. So thank you for your time and your vulnerability and your energy.
You're welcome. And thank you for all that you did also.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate you.
I'm so happy that you reached out.
Thank you for listening to Love Your Practice with Dr. Laura Mock. I would love to meet you. To join our movement, find the Facebook group called Love Your Practice and request to join. If you can't find it, just send me a message and I'll add ya. You'll find me there helping all of my ladies to fall in love with their businesses and have a better life.